welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Michala. In today's video, I will be filling out my reading journal's yearly spreads, so all the spreads I made at the beginning of the year, and filling them out for the books I read in May and April. So April and May, I was a little behind, so let's go through and catch up on my yearly spreads. So it's getting really chunky as I have all the way through May filled in here. So a little under half the year, and I think I have enough pages to finish the year out. It depends on how many books I read each month, but I'm sure I'll have enough pages because I don't read too crazy usually. My goal this year is to read, I think I have it at 48 books. Let's check. That's why we're catching up today. Move my candle. Okay, so this is my first Archer and Olive bullet journal. I've been loving it so far. Last year I used a smaller notebook from Notebook Therapy, and I liked that as well. This is my first in this A5 size. Here's my index page, and I have gone through and added most of my pages in here. I wrote down the page numbers for my April books and my May books, so I'll fill that in right now. I did the page counting off camera so I wouldn't have to bore you guys, but let's write April books read and then May books read. So first April books read and then May books read. And there we have that. This empty space is because I have one spread, 2 pages that are empty in case I want to add something else, which if you have any ideas of what I could add, let me know. I'll show you those pages at the end. But they're just the pages before I get into my monthly books read. So maybe I could do another type of bingo if I fill up my current bingo or something like that. So there's my index, and here is my year at a glance. Okay, I checked my stats and I wrote them on little sticky notes. So let's start filling them in. In April, I read 4 books. I'm putting my sticky notes over here. Got my pen. I read 4 books. So I'll write 4. And my pages were 1,395. 1,395. My average rating was 4.12. I decided I'm going to do a little more of a specific average. Before I was just looking at, like, I wasn't doing the math, if that makes sense. I don't think, not, at least not for these 2 months. I was just looking at the average. If I rated most 4 stars, I put that. So still pretty accurate, but I didn't put like a decimal point. But now I'm just going to do the math to make it easier and do the decimal point. And I'm just going to do 2 decimals, which was 4.12 for my average rating in April. And I read 3 ebooks and listened to 1 audiobook that I also kind of read. I had it from the library on audio, and I owned the physical book as well. But I'm just going to count that as an audiobook because I mostly listened to it. And this says ebook at the top, but if you've seen me go through here, I changed it up and I do like this is a good example. In February, I did 5 with a little E for 5 ebooks, and then 2 and an audio little symbol I made up that's kind of looks like a music note, but it's supposed to be headphones. And I'm doing that to count the audiobooks. So let's do 3 with a little E and then 1 with a little headphone symbol. Okay, and then physical, since I own the one, I'm just going to put 1 even though it won't add up, if that makes sense. It won't add up to 4 books, it'll look like 5, but let's just add a 1 because it was both. It was both I read it and listened to it. DNF'd in April, I tried to read the 3rd book in the Prison Healer series, if you've read that, and I DNF'd it. And I tried to read a book that I did read it in May, and that was The Clockwork Prince. So I'm going to put DNF'd too, even though 1 was a soft DNF. I did read Clockwork Prince in May. And then unhauled, I don't think I unhauled any. And I also don't think I bought any, but I bought a lot in May. So I bought 1 book in April, and that was Heat of the Everflame. No, I bought that at the beginning of May, so I bought a bunch of books in May. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I didn't buy any books in April, or I didn't unhaul any books either, so it's a 0 in both. And then in May, I only read 3 books. I started another one, but I didn't make it very far. So we'll put 3, and then the total pages was 1,229, so bigger books, at least 2 of them. Average star rating was 4.3. in May. So very good reading so far, but I think that's because there's so many great content creators making content about books. So if you find some that have a similar taste to you, it's pretty easy, at least for me, to pick books I know I'm going to like. So I think that's why I have a high rating. Plus, if I'm not enjoying it, I have let myself just stop reading it. So that also helps. And then all the books I read were physical. So ebook, we'll put 0. Physical, we'll put 3. DNF'd. I DNF'd tomorrow, and tomorrow, which I hopefully will read later. I just wasn't getting into it. And then I didn't unhaul any, and I bought so many I'm going to have to count. I think total in May I got 9 books, which is definitely a lot. But May is my birth month, and I went on a last-minute trip to DC, and they had so many cute bookstores that on my birthday my husband took me to see several of them, and I got so many books because it was so fun. I couldn't help myself. Okay, now let's go to my next spread, which is my reading goals. And yeah, I was right. It's 48 books that I'm trying to read. Let's find my different color markers to fill this in. I know I used this yellow Tombow in the color 026. It's like a mustard yellow kind of. And then I believe I was using my 990 Tombow, which is just a light beige. And then I was using this little Pentel brush pen. I think it's Pentel. Yeah, it is. And I don't know what color it is. It says 150 on there, but I don't know if that's the color. Okay, for ebook, let's do April's first, so it's chronological. And I listened to the one ebook, so that's this tan color. My candle is barely burning. I think the wick is having trouble. And I've mentioned this before, but if they look, the difference between like these two colors is really subtle. It is a bigger difference in person, just so you know. So it's easier for me to tell than it probably is for you. This is the lighter color, and the lighter is physical, but I'm going to count The Power of Now as the one I own and I listen to. I mostly listen to it, so let's just not, I'm just going to count it once on here, obviously. I guess I could have double colored it, but that's fine. Like half and half physical, half ebook. Ooh, but this may be wrong because I didn't count The Power of Now. I ordered that on Amazon while I was listening to it. I just thought it would help me to read it while listening to it. And so the second half I read it along with listening to it, and that was nice for me to annotate it. But I forgot to count it because in my head it didn't count because it's the one like non-fiction kind of self-help-ish book that I read. And for some reason I forgot about it. But when we write in my books bought, I'll make sure to get all of the books I bought, put them in there, and then we'll go back and change that number if we need to. Okay, audiobook. Guys, I just did all that rambling and totally forgot this is the color for audiobook, and that's what I was talking about. I listened to The Power of Now. Okay, well, I'm obviously getting distracted, so that one I just colored, we're going to count as one of the ebooks that I read, since in April I read 3 ebooks. We have 1, 2, 3. Let's do those before I go crazy. Sorry about that, guys. Let's color this in. Okay, so there are the 3 for April, and then we had the one that we could count. Okay, so let's go back and count it as half physical, half audio. This is The Power of Now. I think I'll do it diagonal half instead of like up and down vertically. Okay, half yellow, half physical. And there we have April's, and for May we only have 3 books to fill in, and they were all physical. So let's do the tan color and put these colors aside. Okay, there we go. And then in here I was keeping a hobby tracker, but I wasn't doing a very good job keeping up with that, and I kind of track hobbies in my little like Hobonichi weeks, and I fill that out sometimes in my vlogs if you're interested in seeing that. But I decided in here I might keep my receipts of BookSpot, or maybe like a wish list of books I want if it like grows, that kind of thing. But right now it's still empty, so definitely let me know what you think I should put in here if you have any ideas. I've seen little library cards, like I think they're literal like little library cards that the libraries used to put in the front of books more often and write down who checked it out. I think that's done digitally now, but I thought those cards might be fun to buy and like seasonally fill them out for books I'm hoping to read as like seasonal TBRs, because I really like reading seasonally and trying to for the most part, align my books with how I'm feeling for the season. But maybe that's what I'll put in here in the future. Next, we have my wish list and my book spot, and I definitely strayed from this. I have bought a couple on here this year already. Glow of the Everflame was one of the first I bought this year, and then Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, and then I read The Ornithologist Field Guide to Love in April, but I just read it on my Kindle. I didn't buy it, and I'm kind of glad for that because I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. So I've definitely got a lot of books that aren't on here, but there are some that I didn't get, so hopefully I still won't fill up the end of my list, because this is, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 29 books. So I think that's a pretty good aim for this year, to try to keep my book spot fitting in here. We'll see if I can do it. And then if I can't, I guess I'll add another like little tip in kind of insert in here to count the rest of them. But I have my receipts from DC. I know the first one I bought, since I just forgot and then remembered, was The Power of Now, which is like a spiritual book by Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however you say his last name. And I bought that in April. So let's put that, even though I don't have the price off the top of my head. I'll look it up on Amazon later and add it, but let's definitely include it, and we'll put April. And I did all caps for some reason because I'm weird. I didn't do these ones all caps, so it has a longer name, but I'm just going to put the beginning of the name, which is The Power of Now. And then put the price later. And then here are my receipts for all the books. Some of these have my kids' books on them too. But all these books I bought in May. First, I got Uprooted by Naomi Novik, and that was $18.99. And these are from at least one bookshop I went to in DC, was a smaller like local one called Lost City Books. So it was nice to support them. That's part of why I let myself kind of go crazy. Uprooted, and we bought it in May. And we'll stop doing all caps because I don't know why I did that. And then that was $18.99. This is where my wallet will start hurting when I remember how much I paid. And then I got The Tainted Cup, The Same Trip by Robert Jackson Bennett, and that was really good. I've already read it, and that was $20. And then that's all I got for myself. I got my kids some books on that book trip, and then I went back to Lost City Books on my birthday, and I got The Picture of Dorian Gray, a classic that I have not read. The Picture Gray, May, and that was only $10. And then I got Winter's Promise, which is a YA series. The first book in that, it's Winter's Promise, and that was $12.95 because it's young adult, a little bit cheaper. And then I got Teller of Small Fortunes, which is a small book, but it was $20. And then I got Babel, or Babel, depending on how you say it, by R.F. Kuang. And then that one was $20. Oh wait, this says it was on sale for $8.99. And then the kids' book I bought was on sale for 25 cents. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Shows how much I'm paying attention, but I was in a new place and kind of overwhelmed, so I was just trying my best to wrangle my kids while I was checking out. So that was only $8.99. That's a steal for this book because it's very thick. I wonder why. Maybe like if you buy a certain amount of books, there was a sale or something, because I did get a lot that trip. Okay, great. That's 2 receipts down, and then I did one more trip, and I still haven't put Heat of the Everflame on here, which is the 3rd book in the Kindred Curse saga. And I also got that, and I forgot to start with that. I got that before these, but it doesn't have to be super chronological as long as it's all, you know, in May. So I'll get that last. Let's do my other DC book trip, which I got Wildwood, which is a middle grade book. Wildwood was $11.99. And then I got Anne of Green Gables with the pretty cover illustration by Anne Rifle from Rifle Paper Co., which is an illustrator I really like. And that was $17. I have read it, but I really like that cover. I think it's so pretty, so I wanted to get that for my collection, and $17 wasn't too bad for it. And then I got a manga, Witch Hat Atelier Volume 2, and that was $12.99. And then I got Garlic and the Vampire, a different graphic novel, that was $15.99. And then the Heat of the Everflame I got on sale at Target, and it was the only copy. My other books in this series are from Target, and they have kind of like special art on the end pages. I think they're Target exclusives, and so I wanted it to go with the others in the series that I own. So I got it from Target, and it was the only one they had. I really wanted to read it. And the dust jacket was slightly damaged, so I got it for $17. And normally it's $30. So that was pretty good for this. It's like a 1,000-page book, hardcover. Okay, now let's count from the power of now to here and see how many I actually got. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 books. I was very wrong in saying 9. Yeah, I got 12, and I think I forgot to print out a book cover for Wildwood, so I might have to stop and do that in a little bit, but that's okay. Let's see if we can fix this. I have a little piece of masking tape, or should we try white out and see if it stays? Okay, so let's try this Posca white paint pen and see if I can cover it with that, okay? Of course, maybe it's not fully dry, so I'm going to try to dab it. Okay, that's not perfect, but I think if that dries, I can write over it, okay? 1, 2. Okay, I think that still looks messy, so let's put a little bit of this tape over it. Okay, I put this little piece of tape over it, and now I will write 12. It's a lot of books, guys. I was doing good, but that's okay. I kind of expected this around my birthday. And then after my book's bought, we have On My Shelf, and I did cut a couple covers from the 12 I bought to put on here. I'm obviously going to run out already, so we could cover up. One of you commented on one of my videos and said if I run out of room, I could cover up some of them that I've read. And I think that's a great idea, but I already put a little check under them to remember I read them. So I'm wondering if I should do that and not worry about the check, or like cover it up, or if I should just, if this continues, just make like a little insert and like maybe tape it in here, since I have like a dot row on either side. Maybe I could still fit in a little extra piece of paper if I cut it a page from the back or something. For now, let's just fill up what I have and check off any I read, which I think I only read Clockwork Prince off my shelf, which is not very good, but the rest were from the library or new ones I bought that now are on my shelf that I can check off. You'll see. Here are a lot of mini covers of the books I bought, and 2 of them I already read. Let's, for now, start with those. I might put this book, The Tainted Cup, on my series tracker as well, because it does have multiple in the series. Only 2 so far, but I think a 3rd might come out. So maybe I will add that to my series tracker. We'll see. I've kind of DNF'd a couple series on my tracker, like 1 or 2, and I might pick them back up, but if I don't, maybe I'll cover them with a new series. I have the US cover of The Tainted Cup and the UK cover. It printed really dark when it's small. My printer's not that great, so maybe we'll use the UK cover. And I did already read this book. It was the first one I read of the haul that I got, and I really enjoyed it. I talked about it in my May reading journal video. If you want to see that, that will already be on my channel. I can link it after this video. And I have not printed Wildwood, so I'll print that later. For now, let's see how many of these we can fit on here. And this is a book I pre-ordered, The Whisperwick, so I didn't put that I bought it this month, but I have it. Oh, I think I technically bought it last year. Yeah, I bought it last year, so it's not, it doesn't count as buying it this year, but it just came the other day because it released June 2nd, I believe. And so it came, and I forgot I had ordered it, so I was excited to get it in the mail. This is a middle grade series that I read the first book of last summer and really enjoyed it. It was very whimsical and fun with still some more serious themes. So I printed a cover of that to include, not now, but later. Are these books? Let's see how many we can put down here. And then I could cover up this sticker a little bit. I have a space behind there, but maybe I'll just do an insert of some kind and print my other ones later. For now, I think I'll just put these ones down and mark off that I read Clockwork Prince. Let's put a check. And then if we put The Tainted Cup here, I read that one. So we could put that one and Witch Hat, but I didn't do a mini Witch Hat. So let's quickly, I'm going to go and print the rest of my books. Okay, I'm printing those now. Let's glue some of these down while we wait. I started Heat of the Everflame, but I have not finished it yet. It's like almost 1,000 pages, I want to say. Tainted Cup, I read, so we can check that off. Here are the others I printed. This size is for my little reading journal. I like to print the books I own or plan on reading off and at this little bit of a bigger size. And I put them in my little passport traveler's notebook. That way when I start reading them, if I want to take notes in that little passport book, I just put the cover and take notes next to it. So those are for that, and we'll put them to the side. And let's cut these mini ones. I'm having a lot of fun with my little passport size journal. I posted a video about it. I just started using it recently, and if you want to see that, you can go watch it. But essentially it's my companion to this reading journal, and I keep notes on books while I read them and just write in there, so that come time to fill this out, I remember what I wanted to say and kind of remember key points. It's not really a review that I write in there, just thoughts and whatever I'm thinking while reading it. It's been a lot of fun. I printed 2 Heat of the Everflames so I could put one on my series tracker, which we will go to next. Okay, now moving my extras, and let's glue these down and then we'll figure out how to add the extras. Okay, and now let's put a check for a Tainted Cup and for Witch Hat, Volume 2. And I think that's all off my shelf that I read. I need to do better, but soon I'll have read this one, and I'm sure I'll make progress. I really want to read some of these soon. I think I'll make an insert in another video. I'll spend some time to think about how I want to do it, and then I'll show you guys when I do it. But for now, these are the books we have, and I have my little mini covers of my others that we will make sure to add later. Okay, I cleaned up those and moved them to the side, and now let's go to my favorite book by month. I forgot my series tracker is later, so we'll do that later, but my favorite book for April was Blood Over Brighthaven, and my favorite book for May was The Tainted Cup. And I'm going to use the UK cover even though that's not the one I read. And I will use my glue stick and glue them down. Both of these books were really good. I talked about Blood Over Brighthaven in my April reading journal update, if you want to see that. And I talked about The Tainted Cup in my May reading journal update. So for now, I will just stick them in here. And I decided I'm doing a star rating under them because sometimes my favorite of that month wasn't a 5-star. So I like that at a glance. If I include the star ratings on this page, I can kind of tell if I had like a good reading month or if my highest rated, favorite of the month was not a 5-star. It's just kind of helpful, and I just think it looks nice. So there are my 2 favorites, and I'm actually running out of star stickers, so I only have one. We'll use it under Blood Over Brighthaven, and then I'll order more. I thought about moving to a stamp, but I'm kind of messy with stamps, and I've liked using these stickers, so I'll order more. They're from Orange Umbrella Co. I've shown them before. I think I just got them off of Amazon, but I think they're from a small seller, so I'll link them below. Okay, and let's fill it in. Often I get carried away filling in my star ratings, and I'll forget how many stars that I'm putting, so I like to start from the end and fill them up. In this case, I'm filling all of them, but it helps if I, gave it something like 3.5 stars to start with the half and work backwards, so I don't end up filling in like 4 stars like I did the other month when it was a 3-star read. Or I think it was 4 stars and I gave it 5 stars. Who knows? I do think if I mess up like that and I remember, when I get more star stickers, I'll go back through my book spreads and I'll replace the star sticker and make sure it's accurate so that this serves as a accurate journal with my review. Okay, and there we go. We will add Tainted Cups star rating when I order more stickers. I'm just going to erase these little brackets that weren't quite in the right spot. And there we have my favorite by month. And then this is one of my favorite spreads. It's my calendar view, and it folds out. It took me a long time to make. And this was very much inspired by Katie is Reading here on YouTube. If you follow her, I saw her do this one time, and I pretty much just copied it. I don't know if my months are in the same spot. I can't remember, but yeah. So it starts January, February, March, April, and then you open it for May and June, and so on. And the colors are just to represent different books. I am not doing like a key for the colors or anything like that. They're just to make different books stand out, and I'm doing colors that kind of match my washi tape. I know this month I used my favorites. I think the dark purple didn't really work well. I don't have a good white pen to show up against that, so let's pick and 52 is the grayish blue, and then a brighter blue, which is 553. Okay, on my sticky notes, I also wrote the dates that I started and finished my books, and we are going to start with April, of course, and then we'll go to May. Okay, I started the Ornithologist Field Guide to Love in March, and I'm not really sure why, but it took me a while to read it. It says I finished it, well, just pretty long for a shorter book. I finished it April 2nd, so we're going to take the same gray blue pen and continue, that's what this is, and continue it to the 2nd. And I might write the name small in here again if I can, but it's quite a long name, so I might just have it visually represented with the title written in here. And then when I finished that on the 2nd, I didn't start another book until my book club book, which is The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer. I started on the 15th. We can do a light purple for that one. And I read it until the 20th. Then I read The Power of Now, and I took my time with that one, so I actually was reading that apparently from the 7th all the way until the end of the month, the 28th. So let's do that one on the bottom. And let's do, I think I want the largest color to be the dark color. I really like how the red stands out, so let's just go with it from the 7th until the 28th. And that book was like a self-help kind of spiritual book, so I just like took my time with it and highlighted things, and I'll probably reread it sometime just because it's that type of book. So let's write the title for The Lost Story and then The Power of Now. And then I might write The Power of Now on the other lines too, just to really let myself know that this is in fact the same book I was reading the whole time. But then first, let's put Blood Over Brighthaven, my other book that I read the 21st to the 27th. And we'll do that in a light blue. That book is very much like a red, moody book, but I don't think this color really has to represent the book. The 21st to the 27th. Okay. Okay, now let's write Blood Over Brighthaven, and let's write The Power of Now one more time over here, since it's so long. Maybe up here too. The Power of Now. Okay, and there we have what I read for April. Let's open it up for what I read in May. If this will fit on camera, I might have to put it quite diagonal. There we go. Okay, so I did read 130-ish pages of Heat of the Everflame, and then I went on my sudden trip to DC, and it's such a big book, I didn't want to bring it because I thought it would just get damaged and it's heavy. But I'm still going to include the days I read that, and then it will kind of just be a soft DNF situation. I'll just write the days I was reading it and then, you know, go on, pick it back up when I start reading it again this month in June, probably. So let's do that one in the red color. I started it on the 10th. I kind of took a break from reading for a little bit, except for, you know what I read all month? Sorry guys, I'm trying to do this in order, but I was reading Clockwork Prince in April and kind of DNF'd it, but apparently I started that April 13th, but I think I will just, I don't think I barely started it really until May, so I'm just going to start May 1st and go until I finished it, which was on the 20th, so that's a long time. For some reason it just took me a while to really get into that, and I think I will do this gray color for that and just start at the bottom. I had a funny situation with the Clockwork Prince where I realized I had read it. I thought for some reason the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare, I thought I had only read the first book in high school, and then as I'm reading it, I'm remembering more and more of the story and remembering that I must have read the whole thing. But it's still a fun reread, and so I think that's why it took me a while, is because as I read it, I was kind of not as into it as I would have been if it was my first time, because I started remembering things, but it was still a good read. I'll write Clockwork Prince in here, and again, maybe down here. Clockwork Prince. Okay. And then we will do Heat of the Everflame. I just read it from a couple days from the 10th to like the 15th. So I was getting really into it, and then my husband left for a while and I was kind of busy watching the kids by myself, and then we all went on a trip for about 2 weeks and I didn't bring it with me. So I'm excited to get back into it now that we're back. It was getting good. It wasn't as, I didn't get as quickly into it as I did the first and the second book in that series. The second book so far is my favorite. This is the third, Heat of the Everflame. Heat of the Everflame. But I do think it's starting to pick up a little more, so I want to finish that in June. And then I read The Tainted Cup, and I started it late on the 26th, but I finished it on the 31st. It was very good. I didn't have loads of time to read on my trip, but when I did, I was reading that and really loving it. Let's do purple. There we go. The Tainted Cup. And then I started Witch Hat Atelier Volume 2 the very last day, and I technically read it until June, but I'm just counting it in May because it was just too much of a overlap. It's a manga, so I read it very quickly. So I just don't want to count it for June because June I'm hoping to really get more into reading and have a lot of other books journal about, and I kind of wanted to fit Witch Hat Atelier into May. Since I had only read 3, I could more easily fit it into my reading journal spreads if I just included it in May. And I started it in May and only read it for 2 days because it's so short. So let's put it right here, and I'll just have to fit in there Witch Hat. Okay, and there we have it. Let's close that and bring it back into frame. Here we go. And I'll put these markers away. Okay, let's go to the next, which is my series tracker. Okay, so the series that I kind of have soft DNF for now, like I might pick up the third of the Empyrean and the Prison Healer, but I started the third of the Prison Healer and was not loving it. I kind of found it boring, and it's kind of very similar to the Kindred Curse in my opinion. Maybe it's just because I read them around a similar time, the first books, but they both have to do with a healer, and they have magic system, and kind of the wealthy and powerful suppressing the weaker. In the Kindred Curse, it's more of like these children of gods suppressing humans, whereas the Prison Healer is more of just like a power political thing. But it's kind of the same, right? Like take out the specifics, and it's very similar themes in both. And I know a lot of people love the Prison Healer. I enjoyed the first 2. I might pick up the third, but so we'll keep these here. Same with Iron Flame. I really liked Fourth Wing. Iron Flame was kind of rambling and confusing, but let's see. I really only have the Tainted Cup and Witch Hat. Witch Hat has so many volumes, I don't think I'll track it on a series tracker. The Tainted Cup might only have one more come out, so I could put them like here. Or the Silver Arrow is a middle grade that I liked the first one, but I don't know if I'll read the second. I probably will. While we are thinking about that, let's put the Infernal Devices. I have my little whole trilogy here, but I read the second one, so let's cut it out. Okay, we'll save the third for when I read it, and let's glue it in here. Okay, I really do like this series tracker and seeing all the little books. These are 2 really big series that I don't know if I'll read The Expanse. Honestly, I would do good just to make it through 3 books this year because they're so thick. I already own the first one in the series. That's why I put it on here, thinking I would get into it. But let's just assume I'll do good to read 3 this year and maybe count these guys for something else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I could do 5 Witch Hats and track them. But like I said, Witch Hat is a manga, so it has so many in the series, I probably will not track all of them. It'll just take up a lot of space. I'd rather do like a checkmark system or something for a series that has that many in it. But maybe I could just do the first 2 and write a title and then do these 3 for something else. Let's do that for now. Let's just not worry about them being really close together and write The Tainted Cup. They're called Anna and Din, or Din and Anna Mysteries, I believe, but let's look that up before we write it, and let's put it here and then put The Tainted Cup right there. And then I do think I will get into Throne of Glass this year. I really want to. I've heard the first books are slow, like the first 3 or maybe even 4. But I've also heard people like the first one, so I think I will like it if I get into it. Okay, let's look up the title to make sure I get it right for the Tainted Cup series. Okay, I looked it up and it's called The Shadow of the Leviathan, which is quite long, but let's do it. The Shadow of the Leviathan. Okay, there we go. And we'll just see how many books come out, and they might not come out this year, but that's okay. Here's the first one, the little UK cover, which I think is really pretty. And there we have that. I'm excited to read more. And then I want to read the third and final Infernal Devices and finish up Heat of the Everflame, the third of the Kindred Cursed soon. And I think the fourth, I think they've all been published. It's a like quartet with 4. I think the last one has not been traditionally published yet in the same like art style and cover as I have the rest of the series, so I guess I'll wait for that. I want to keep going with the Red Rising series. I gave the first book 5 stars, so I really don't know why I've taken so long to pick up the second one. Sometimes I just get overwhelmed with all the things I want to read. And then because the second Whisperwicks book came in, I think I will read that soon. It's kind of giving me nostalgia since I read the first one last summer. This time last year, I think it'll be fun to read the second one, and because it's middle grade, it's a quick read. Next, we have my book club page and my bingo. I thought this would be a good time to go through my bingo and figure out which of these prompts I have already done, because I'm sure I have done some of them. Okay, I need to get my... Do you guys hear my kids screaming? They're screaming out of happiness, but I apologize if that's very loud. Okay, here are my reddish tinted circle stickers that are a little bit transparent so you can still read through them. Okay, black on the cover. I was definitely going to count either Tainted Cup or Blood Over Brighthaven. Both had very mostly black covers. Begins with a W. Which hat? Which hat begins with a W? Let's do that. This one says Old TBR on your shelf. I don't know if I've done that yet. A classic, maybe I'll do The Picture of Dorian Gray if I get around to reading that soon, or if I reread Anne of Green Gables. Outside your comfort zone, I wouldn't say I've done that yet. Mystery, The Tainted Cup. I'm only going to try to count one for one. Black on the cover will be Blood Over Brighthaven. Mystery, The Tainted Cup was definitely a mystery. Let's do that. Nonfiction would be The Power of Now. And this was just a bingo sent from our book club, so that's where I got it from. If you want me to type out these things where you can read them better, because I used a Sharpie and it kind of soaked into my paper and got really thick. Yeah, if you want to know what they are, I could post it somewhere for you. But this one says a plot twist, and I've read so many with a plot twist. I feel like I'm gonna wait for like a really, really big plot twist. I'm sure I've read one, but until it like comes to my mind, I just feel like maybe I'll leave that, you know? A different culture or religion. I think I've done that too. But again, unless something jumps to my mind, I don't want to like count one book for like all of them. I want this to be a little bit of a challenge. Number in the title. You guys are probably watching this. If you've seen me mention books, you're probably like screaming like, you read this book, that counts as this one. This one's set in a country you haven't visited, and The Clockwork Prince was set in London, and I have not visited the United Kingdom, so let's put that there. And then I think that's enough. Like I said, I don't want this to be filled in too quickly because I'm having fun with it. You know, I don't know if anything I've read really counts as a spooky book, but I bet I'll do that in October. Old TBR on your shelf. This will motivate me to get something on my shelf, and I almost have bingo here, but I do want to fill in all of them. So this will be fun to fill in more later. I think this is good for now. And then my book club has announced the book they are reading in June. We do it every other month we meet. So June to July, we are reading Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. Let's put that in there. I will probably read it in July because I have it on hold from the library and it's like a long hold. If I don't get it, I might buy the book, but I like romance books a lot, but I, for some reason, don't really care to own them as much as fantasy books, so I usually buy them on my Kindle or just like rent them from the library as a good way for me to just remember to use the library and not have to buy every single book. I like how colorful the covers are, but it just doesn't really, I want my library and my bookshelves to feel more like a little bit like dark academia-ish, and so I think fantasy books lend to that look more. So I'll probably wait for it from the library if I can. July, Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. And I haven't known what to put in this little section, but I think I will put maybe my star rating for each book and just the month, so I don't have to write the whole title out. Like I'll put January, and you can reference up here the book I read in January for book club and see my star rating, just for a nice little summary of how much I've been enjoying the books that are recommended from book club. But yeah, we take a vote on a couple different ones. We have a prompt, and for June and July, it was romance, contemporary romance, and so we voted between a Catherine Center book, an Emily Henry book, and one other, I think a Christina Lauren book that I've already read, so I didn't vote for that one. I'd be interested in reading the Catherine Center one as well, but I think everyone voted for the Emily Henry. So that'll be fun to get into. And then here's that blank spread I was telling you before my monthlies start over here. So if you have any ideas of something fun I can do here, even though it's about halfway through the year, maybe like October readathon or something, because I do think it's very fun to get into the spooky books or like witchy rom-com type books in fall and like Halloween time. So that could be fun, but I'm saving this and hopefully we'll think of something good to use it for before the year is up. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me as I fill this in. I'm so glad you're here and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. If you've stayed till the end, I would love it if you would comment any type of little book emoji. Yeah, just to let me know you stayed till the end. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!